Well, good morning, everybody. Just a quick shout out to our friends down there in the Caribbean where they had a little earthquake last night. I hope it's not going to affect anyone too much. They say it's not going to be a tsunami event. That's a good thing. So just sort of ride with it through the day as after tremors shake out. Hopefully, everyone will be fine.
Interesting.
And I just want to go on record to say that today I am protesting. I am not going to be watching the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Uh, Number one, it's on Fox, and I refuse to sign for Fox for one football game. And number two, the NFL caved to the political whims and took off their DEI signs, and so they don't get my support today.
Oh, oh no.
It's a silent protest. I don't think they'll notice it, but I will find something else to do this afternoon. So,
It certainly will have an effect somewhere along the way.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that's
Yeah.
for everyone to decide for themselves. Today I'm going to talk about something that's a little counter to what we normally talk about, and that's just the joy of being selfish. And today, when we sacrifice our own happiness, we're not bringing our best to a relationship. If we are making ourselves miserable to make others happy, our alignment is not. Selfishness gets a bad rap, and supporting arguments are not without merit, but Spirit takes care of those who take care of themselves. Now, selfish Sam understands we cannot be helpful and uplifting to others when we post ourselves to the position of victim. Selfish Sam knows the Latin phrase carpe diem, seize the day, is a call to action urging us to live our lives to the fullest, to grow and prosper in every moment. Selfish Sam appreciates the trickle down theory of economics bears its best fruit when we start from a position of joy and fulfillment. Ralph Waldo Emerson writes, "Those who live to the future must always appear selfish to those who live to the present." To speak well of selfishness may seem counterintuitive in a teaching that bases everything on the power of love, but we also teach spirit is infinite and therein contains the entire spectrum of personalities. At day's end, it is spiritual love that channels our selfishness into positive experiences. Emerson speaks to the paradox that is, on one hand, spirituality living in the present without the anchor of the past or a duty to the future, and the very terrestrial drive to prepare for another day. Setting aside some portion of today's bounty appears to be selfish to the present because it is denying oneself the total abundance in the present. But Emerson also wrote, "The squirrel hoards nuts and the bee gathers honey without knowing what they do, and they are thus provided for without selfishness or disgrace." You see, our human experience has demonstrated that prosperity can be seasonal. Crops ripen in the summer and fall, and where snow covers the ground through winter, food becomes scarce for the unprepared. Selfish Sam miserly withholds a bountiful table today in preparation for a merciful meal when the fields are barren and the gardens knee deep in snow. Selfish Sam reminds us our earning capacity traditionally increases through our terrestrial lives, but does so with the knowledge our most productive years are finite. we are reminded to put something aside for retirement, to sacrifice today for our future well-being. The paradox arises again. We selfishly deny ourselves the fullness of our prosperity today so that we can selfishly stop being productive and still live in the style to which we have become accustomed. The selfishness of denying full prosperity in the present pays off in the form of full storehouses set to carry us through the lean seasons. So the practice of spiritual mind treatment is also a selfish act. Traditional prayers, you see, are all over the place. Begging, promising, threatening, driven by fear and subservience. Spiritual mind treatment is founded in strength, power, and dominion over our experiences. In treatment, we shut out worldly appearances and selfishly immerse ourselves in spiritual truth. We know within ourselves that the conditions offering challenge are powerless to rob us of our inner spiritual peace. We command the universe to do whatever is necessary to selfishly isolate ourselves in spiritual truth. Selfish Sam isolates himself from the world of effects. The cries of the hungry fall on deaf ears. Spirit cannot hear them. The stench of filth, rot, and decay of war and poverty hold no more sway than the aroma of freshly baked bread. Spirit has no senses, cannot see or smell. Spirit simply is. Spirit does not react based on a predetermined set of values or judgments. Spirit acts in alignment with our beliefs. When selfish Sam withdraws into his spiritual bubble, he is affirming his belief that the slings and arrows of our terrestrial experience hold no power in the world of spirit. In his stubborn adherence to spiritual principles, selfish Sam adds his strength to shaping the common consciousness in the image of spirit. A successful practitioner knows their inner truth regardless of events unfolding around them. They may do so on behalf of a client, but they do so only within themselves. As a practitioner, I can know a truth for someone who has reached out, but only within my own mind. That's small m. Knowing this truth in my mind energizes the one mind, capital M, that is spirit. Spirit takes over and generates all manner of opportunities for my client, myself, or someone else to make choices that eventually reveal the desired experience. Through our training and practice, we remain alert to recognize the choices that take us through the decision tree to the results we want. From Ralph Waldo Emerson again, we legislate against forestalling and monopoly. We would have a common granary for the poor, but the selfishness which hoards the corn for high prices is the preventative of famine. And the law of self-preservation is surer policy than any legislation can be. Selfish Sam, you see, may be motivated by greed, but by forcing a momentary scarcity, he may in fact be assuring a steady supply of commodities and employment. A practitioner's apparent lack of sympathy may in fact be the greatest demonstration of empathy. Every civilization has some form of the saying, "He who keeps his head while everyone else is losing theirs will emerge as king." Having a well-practiced plan to call on in times of challenge isolates us from any chaos unfolding around us. Spiritual practice is that plan. We do our meditation. We perform ritual treatments or prayers if you prefer. We cement our relationship with spirit so when the monsters crawl out from under the bed, we are not tossed hither and yon, susceptible to any straw at which we grasp. We have selfishly joined ourselves to a spiritual understanding that allows us to see through the smokescreen of madness, keeping ourselves linked to our spiritual truth, unaffected by the psychosis gripping the masses. German fashion designer Karl Lagerfeld says, don't sacrifice yourself too much, because if you sacrifice too much, there's nothing else you can give, and nobody will care for you. A popular analogy used in our teaching is the drop-down oxygen mask found in airliners. We are always instructed to selfishly put our own mask on first, before attempting to help anyone else, even young children. The logic is simple. If we pass out from lack of oxygen, we are not only unable to help anyone else, we become the problem. We become a burden, either as a casualty or maybe just by falling down and blocking the aisle so that no one else can move around to help others. In the same way, when we spend our time looking for faults in others, or trying to solve what we perceive as their problem, our own minds are turning into useless pudding. French philosopher Albert Camus said, to be happy, we must not be too concerned with others. In this light, Selfish Sam has learned not to inoculate himself from personal relationships, but to detach himself from empowering the opinions of others regarding him. In short, what others think of me is none of my business. Your opinion of me is fully a result of your life experiences, your values and beliefs. Our daily diet of news is flooded with facts that people cannot agree upon. One person sees an event and calls it a tragedy. Another sees a conspiracy. If we allow ourselves to dwell on the difference, if we focus on making the other person wrong, misery manifests and happiness dissolves. Founder of the Unity Church, Catherine Ponder, wrote, when you hold resentment toward another, you are bound to that person or condition by an emotional link that is stronger than steel. Forgiveness is the only way to dissolve that link and get free. Selfish Sam slings forgiveness around like a fisherman's wharf tuna trader. Selfish Sam cannot stand to be bound to a person or condition through resentment. Selfish Sam has to cut that stuff loose to dissolve that link and be free of someone else affecting his well-being. Selfishness is denying others power over your self-image, and it can really tick them off. You may still have someone in your life who knows how to push your buttons. Spiritual awareness empowers us to disconnect those buttons. It's that scene in the movie where the hero cuts the red wire just as the villain concludes his gloating soliloquy on humanity's deterioration and gleefully depresses the enter key on the overly elaborate world domination computer assembly. It's strike three called when the tying run is on third and the go-ahead run on second. Selfish Sam can ruin your day if ruining his day is the only way you can be happy. John Mark Green, writing in The Light You Need, writes, owning your mind and living your truth can be a solitary path, but it is absolutely worth it. Selfish Sam does not need the praise of others, and he selfishly denies control of his joy to those who would steal it from him. Selfish Sam keeps his own counsel with spirit. He selfishly basks in his spiritual truth, unaffected by terrestrial chaos. Selfish Sam bends the common consciousness with his own beliefs, unwilling to be bent by the misbeliefs of others. Selfish Sam knows, as Ernest Holmes taught us in The Science of Mind, that the peace that is within you is not something separate from God. It is not something that bombards you from without. This peace is something that expands from within. We are all expressions of the infinite that is spirit. Our happiness, our peace, our joy is within us, and from there ripples out across the pond of our existence, trickling down into every nook and cranny of our experience and our relationships. Brene Brown said, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Being brave enough to stand alone, confident enough to trust our spiritual power to carry us through the mind chatter and confusion, the mean tweets and influencers, the false prophets, podcasters, and snake oil salesmen. Being selfish enough to bring our best self, to love ourselves first, so we can save society by leading with love and truth, not following in fear and submission. When confronted with doubt and naysayers, just remember these immortal words from one of God's favorite messengers, Dr. Seuss, when he said, "If you don't like me, remember, it's just mind over matter. I don't mind, and you don't matter." Thank you for your attention, as always.
Thank you.